striker, but fuck, this guy really is shit on the greens. I'll tell you, Shaggy. Yeah, if you ever hit a putt, we might win at 200 to 1.
Entering the Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog Fantasy. Code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy right now. Okay? Get yourself a deposit bonus of up to $250 Canadian Open. Best bets, the gold, the silver, the bronze, the added outrights towards the end. Maybe a fun to make the cut Canada parlay. All things Canadian on the Pat Mayo Experience this week. Obviously, I hosted the research show. That is out. Feinberg joined me for the pick show, as he always does. We got to get two Canadians for this show. Cam Stewart, DJ, Jazzy, Geoff Ulrich. Geoff, your part of the world right now is probably pretty fired up for the Edmonton Oilers, but not so fired up for never having golf in Western Canada.
Yeah, no. It is weird. I mean, this is basically like the Eastern Canadian Open. I mean, have they ever had it out here? Did they have it in Vancouver one year?
Yeah, Shaughnessy. Remember Shaughnessy?
Yeah.
The battle between Bo Van Pelt, John Daly, and others. Classic.
Okay.
Hey,
So
Sean
O'Hare.
Sean O'Hare won that year, Cam.
Oh, yeah, Sean O'Hare. Why don't we say Bo Van Pelt, Pat? See, I got this guy in my head. But you're right. No, Sean O'Hare was involved. Nice guy, by the way. Met him at the Canadian Open. And you know what, Pat? Just to say, shout out to all of our friends out west. You got courses in Banff that would like crush it, man.
Dude.
I know you want fans there and stuff, but East Coast, what about, I know they're having Royal Montreal with the President's, with the President's Cup. Pat, you've lived out East. God, those oceanside courses are the best. Like when I heard, hey, let's go to Glen Abbey and Angus Glen, I'm like, are you nuts? Like that, whatever. It's a joke, dude. They got to move it out west or east. And I'm from Ontario. Screw it.
There's so many good courses, like Cam said, out where Pat lives out east, but also in like BC Okanagan. Mm-hmm. There's like 100 courses they could play at in the Okanagan, BC, the interior. There's some good courses around Edmonton and Calgary, but yeah, maybe one day we'll get an event. They used to have that Air Canada Open too for like 3 years. Weir won that. That was kind of cool, but I don't know.
Is the city electric with Oilers fever?
That's all people really do here is talk about and watch the Oilers. So yeah, it's very electric during game time. There's just it's like you're in like the dead zone or something. There's no one on the street. There's no cars or anything. I took my dog for a walk in the second period yesterday just for a break, and there was literally no one out. So
great time to rob people. Like in Green Bay, Pat, at the Packers game, everybody's out. It must be great for like grifters and freeloaders and thieves. You just walk in and go, oh, this is great, man. They're all at the game. I got to tell you, your team's leaking oil after last night. Gotta love live betting. What a collapse that was. Boo.
Jesus. I mean, the Oilers are just very unserious. I mean, I don't think Stuart Skinner's going to hold up, but we'll see. They're exciting to watch, so you can't complain. But I'm not, as you can probably tell, I'm not a very confident Oilers fan right now.
I made mention of this on Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, as the weird notification emails tell me every single time, that wouldn't Liv be smart, Geoff, to go to Calgary and play an event? Like, wouldn't people show up for that?
But I really do think they kind of would. I mean, that would be a good move by them just in general. Go somewhere in Western Canada, right? Calgary is interesting. Like it's a more affluent city than Edmonton. So if you're coming into Alberta, it's probably the place to go. To be honest, there's better courses around Edmonton. Just for whatever reason, there's more courses in the area. But Calgary, I mean, you could find a course in Calgary that's certainly playable. I know they had like some senior tours event there. Yeah, there's a bunch of oil money. The people here certainly aren't going to be anti-Liv because everyone in Alberta votes conservative anyways. So it's not like people are, they played at Donald Trump's course, we're not going to go see Liv or something like that. So yeah, it would be a great idea by them. I think, maybe one day someone there will, is there any Canadians on Liv right now?
No, but
I don't think.
But there's a course in Calgary, Cam, that has, I think the clubhouse is just being finished. It opened probably 5-6 years ago now. It just happens to be called Mickelson National. Maybe play there.
Amazing. Yeah, hey, Pat, you're the best. And I can't believe how ironic this is. My brother's in town from Calgary, and if I had a shot for every time he said Justin Trudeau's a tool, I'd actually couldn't be. I'd be way drunker than I was in my show to New York. Honest to God, the people of Alberta, man, they hate the Liberals. Like this guy, I was at Red Lobster with my father last night. I'm like, can we get off the politics and just eat $25 all you can eat shrimp? I couldn't deal with it anymore, Pat, but great idea by you. See, Mayo's full of ideas. Bring it out west. You got Banff. So all the rich guys, Richard Bland can spend his live monies and they can have a great time. It just makes no sense to me, Pat. It's a beautiful part of the country and they have wicked tracks. So yeah, it seems like a no-brainer. Pat, that's why you're the host of the show. You're coming up with great ideas. You can tell Greg Norman to take a hike. You're taking over.
Well, I guess, I mean, because you mentioned East, Geoff, which I really, have serious problems with. As someone who lives on the East Coast, Ontario, the central part of the country, they might call it the Eastern time zone. We got more time zones out here in Canada. So let's call that central if we're going to do anything, because nothing ever comes out east. That's the whole thing. Montreal is about as far east as you're going to go, and that's still pretty central to begin with. That's still like west of New York. But I assume it's just because Golf Canada is located like in and around Toronto that they just want to have everything there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just they just want to play to, where the big city is. It's easier for the players. I think the player mobility thing is huge, right? Like if you take it all the way out west, a lot of the times, like, you got to go back east for the Memorial too. The U.S. Open's often out east. I don't know. I really just think the PGA Tour is just like lazy and they don't want to schedule something in some weird part of the country because the logistics about taking it to Nova Scotia or taking it to like an interior part of BC or something. I just think that they just don't want to go that because if it's unsuccessful, then you've dumped a bunch of money trying to move it to this location. And I just don't think that they want to take the risk. PGA Tour in general is just very, very low risk. And I think that the PGA Tour Canada, whoever runs that, is extremely low risk. And they're just like, yeah, it's Toronto. We know we'll get the fans out there. Let's just keep it here. So it's kind of just that loser mentality, really, of we don't want to show the country off. We don't want to show our great courses. Let's just be super safe and just keep it in Toronto.
Yeah.
So the Toronto area.
Yeah, it's never going to be out east. There's just not enough people out here for it to happen. The Canadian Open for the LPGA was actually at my course one year. I see it every time I drive into the clubhouse. Host of the 2005 or something. CN LPGA Canadian Open. But
who
just
won? McMallen?
I have no idea. Probably Lori Kane.
Okay.
Didn't she used
Lori
to win
Kane,
things?
Yeah, Lori Kane.
Yes, she did. That's the only female
She had a
golfer
great
from our
run at one
generation.
point, Lori Kane.
She sure did. Lori Kane was on fire.
But if you do bring it out, like when they were at Shaughnessy, that's just outside of Vancouver. If you say, let's say Calgary. Let's say Calgary, Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver kind of need to be the hubs of all these things. It's mind-blowing that they just don't go out to these places. And like you say, logistically, like it's not hard to get in and out of Calgary. What's that, like an extra 40 minutes in the air to get to Memorial from Toronto?
Yes.
Calgary would be fine. Calgary, absolutely. Like going to the bigger hubs, like, and you're right. I mean, especially Vancouver. I mean, Vancouver is one of the nicest cities in the world, right? I mean, it's obviously you have to pay give an extra kidney every year just to pay like rent there. So I'm surprised that at the very least, like you said, they haven't made an effort to go to one of these major hubs. I kind of get what you're saying. Like we have these beautiful courses like in little pockets of Canada they haven't gone to, but it really is shocking that like they haven't gone to Vancouver or Calgary. I mean, those two cities are, like you said, they're international hubs. They're international cities. They have major sporting teams. Like there's no reason for the PGA Tour not to like rotate around the bigger courses in Canada. It's the Canada Open. It's not like the Toronto like Greater Metropolitan Open. I mean, they might as well change the name to that. So yeah, it is mind-boggling. I mean, I don't understand why it hasn't happened. Been watching this event for 20 plus years now, and it just they don't change anything. It's just the exact same. Now they got a rotation of courses, which is kind of nice, but they're trying to pull like the magic trick. It's like, look, we're going to different courses, but all the courses are like right beside each other in the same spot in Canada. So it's not really indifferent.
And as Geoff pointed out, that the next year St. George's, where Rory won 2 years ago, is already pulled out of being host. So it's going to go to TPC Toronto, which is nowhere near Toronto, which is kind of hilarious. And that his club, Oakdale, which hosted last year, is probably not going to renew for 2026. So that will probably, too, be at TPC Toronto. That just might end up becoming the course, Cam.
It's unacceptable. And you know me, Pat, like I'm from the area. I live just outside of Toronto and I'm sick of it because this country's beautiful. And That's Pete, Pat. You know me. I'm telling you, I don't. It does. The fact that it's not in there's so much money in Alberta too, and there's so much money in BC. And you said it. These guys, half of these. What you think? I feel sorry for the guy that has to fly coach who's like trying to make a cut. Well, a lot of these guys have private jets. Pull an Ernie Els and invite the guy in your damn plane. Then, if you got buddies on tour that are not as good, like figure it out. We have to do it. And know what? Jeff's club was so successful. I have American guys talking about how great it was. It was basically like the Waste Management, but Canadians, we weren't too gassed on Bud Lights and ready to light the place on fire. It was a wicked party atmosphere. Jeff became besties with Tommy Fleetwood, and it was a wicked time. We were rocking and rolling. It was a great tournament. But I'm telling you, I agree. Get out of Ontario. Like, thank God it's not at Angus Glen and Glen Abbey's turning into apartment condos or, you know what I mean? Because if I saw that course one more time, I was going to lose my mind.
It was one of the more boring courses that they played on the PGA Tour, too. It's just like,
I play that course and I suck. Like, you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. I can tell you every lie on that course. It's not worth. This is another thing. I remember when Jack Nicklaus talked about it, and I worked at Mississauga Golf and Country Club and Credit Valley cleaning people's clubs, and I'll tell you, those clubs are wicked. Like, they're way better than Glen Abbey. Like, and they're just regular private clubs, like Jeff's club, right? So that's the whole thing. I just don't understand why because they can fit more people in there. Big deal. It doesn't matter. You guys are absolutely correct. And it's a national open was the point that I'm trying to make. Treat it as such. I'm not going to say it has to be a U.S. Open or whatever, but it's still the damn Canadian Open. I don't want to see a guy shoot minus 40 like Joe Durant at the Desert Classic. It's our national championship. Treat it well. Let it be a test. That's my opinion.
It would be so much more successful if they treated it just a semi bit like the U.S. Open, though, right, Cam? Like just a little bit. Like have like a rota. Like, hey, in 2025 we're gonna go out here. 2027 we're gonna go here. Give it a little bit of flavor. Give it a little bit of originality. Like, yeah, we're gonna rotate courses. This is the Canadian Open. You're gonna fly to freaking like Vancouver one year, guys.
Deal
like,
with
this
it.
is. Yeah. So yeah, it makes
half
no
of these
sense.
guys are RBC. They make all their money, right, Pat? Like, and take a look, Pat, at that final score of the Shaughnessy tournament, where Sean O'Hare, off the top of my head, I think he won between -4 and -6. It played as a major.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I think it was -4. I remember it being incredibly difficult, and I do remember it being the first time I had ever heard of Adam Hadwin.
Good call. Yeah, no, I'm an older guy. I remember that because I had money. That's why I bring up Bo Van Pelt. I think I had him at 200 to 1, and I'm like, wow, we got a real battle here, and it was great. It was old guys were in the mix, young guys were in the mix, young Canadians. Anyway, we all agree at the same place, Pat. Enough is enough. Like, look at the fucking U.S. Open. You think they're going to go to Valhalla after the Scotty Scheffler incident? Like, just throw it somewhere else. Like, there's no need to be boring and keep it in your little stupid bubble. Canada's a beautiful country. Let's show the players how beautiful it is. It's not Ontario. It's called Canada.
Yeah, so 2011 RBC Canadian Open, Sean O'Hare wins in a playoff at -4 over Taibo instructor Chris Blanks.
Oh, yeah, Chris shooting blanks. Bam, bam. Yeah, I forgot Chris Blanks was in the mix, too. What a tournament. Yeah, there's 4. Okay, Pat, when was the last time, guys? This is why we do the show. What was the last time, even in a U.S. major, you seen the winning score at -4? That is awesome. That is wicked. That's old British Open win, can't play in Scotland type of score where guys can't even get it around. And you know what? I like to see the players have problems. That's why they're pros, and we're sitting here talking about them.
Last thing, I went to Cabot last week, so I played both the Cabot courses, and Cust commented that like they should have a PGA Tour event here. Now, there is some logistical problems when you're 4 hours away from the 8th biggest city in Canada, which has 500,000 people in it, that like legitimately no one would go to this tournament because in Inverness, the only place that you can stay is actually at the golf course, so there's nowhere for anyone to stay. And Jeff, there's absolutely no room to put up any stands for viewers.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but like those places they're golf destinations. They're really not like host places. You have to build up infrastructure. I know some places in like Scotland have done that so that they'd be able to host an Open, but the Open is also, something special, right? And they go to these places for a reason, these small courses. So, I mean, I think it would be really cool if Golf Canada somehow put the infrastructure into a place, because like Cabot Links, like you said, it's just a gem out there, right? But there's other places they could go that have a little bit more infrastructure. But I that's the other thing, because I would like to see them get away from this sort of country club vibe. And all these private clubs across Canada, like you said, it's a battle to get these guys to agree to have these big events there. I know we have a club in Edmonton. They hosted an LPGA event for a couple of years in a row, and they eventually just pulled out because the members didn't want it. So stop trying to go to these stuffy country clubs. Try build something unique, and like the people will eventually come. But it is a logistical nightmare to get to some of those places, no doubt.
And to kind of throw it back the other way, well, the PGA Tour couldn't go to Cabot, Cam. Maybe Live could, because no one goes to those things anyway.
Great call. Cabot, Pat, see, you're part of the Chardonnay crew now. You and Richard Bland and your gang, right? You're your posse just watching beautiful. Look at the rocks. Look at the beautiful waters, hanging out with the puffins. You puffin smokes. Great. I love the East Coast, buddy. I'll see you there soon.
I'm telling you, Pat, that the Live to Alberta thing might be one of your best ideas ever.
I
mean, I'm telling you,
it writes itself. Like Alberta and oil.
The people in this province would be so for that kind of event. They could, they could hang up their I hate Justin. Well, it's worse than I hate. Yeah. I'm just trying to be PG. I hate Justin Trudeau posters and stuff, and they, it would just be amazing. This is a very solid idea. I may email Greg Norman after the show.
There we go. Well, that's when it's Canadian Open week. You got 3 Canadians. We got to talk through some of this stuff. Yep. Time for the gold picks now. I'm going to start mine off with a guy that I bet to win this tournament, although he has no chance of winning this tournament, so it's a wasted bet. But this one could actually win. That's why it's my gold bet. The numbers tell me that he is good. Me watching him would tell me he's good. And when I think about the course designer at Hamilton, it's a short course. Accuracy, greens and regulation, cross your fingers, hopefully that you can make some putts. Aaron Rai seems to be he and Alex Noren seem to be 2 perfect fits for this course. And I'll take the guy who's double the odds. I'll play Aaron Rai, top 20 Cam, plus 187 at Bet365. Right now, he's played well at Wentworth, same designer, same style, of course. Wentworth a little bit more difficult than Hamilton Golf and Country Club, but the same similar vibes that we have going on. You see a lot of guys who play well in Open Championships and on English courses do really well at Hamilton. The limited sample that we have, but just a lot of accuracy. Just really hammer down on guys that hit the fairway, don't get themselves in trouble, and that's really all Aaron Rai does.
Great call. It's amazing, Pat, because you're a really, really smart guy, and you guys come up with compilations and forms, and you go through the computer data. Whereas guys, I do it, we get to the same place in a different way. I do it on pen and paper, or write down notes. Rise hot. He finished just outside the top 30 last week. I'm thinking the Canadian Open on a short track in Hamilton. What do you have to do? You got to pipe it down the middle. You got to hit the irons, and if he hits a couple putts, he can win the tournament. I also have him outright, Pat. Love the bet, and I have Aaron Rai. Basically, I'm going to go all over the board, but he is plus 180 for a top 20. I think it's a nice safety bet. Great call, Pat. I love Ryan Gingers, rye bread, whatever you want. Let's make it 2 gloves rye, baby. Let's go. Let's go deep. I got him this week too, buddy. And if he wins this tournament, then maybe we can go to Cabot and drink some beautiful Chardonnay together in beauty.
No, you have to drink the Cabot Ale. That's what they have there, Jeff. It's like a white. I think it's a lot like Costco beer, where it's just like a white label beer that they throw Cabot on.
I'll drink anything, but beer's bad for my diabetes. I told you I'm a Malbec red wine man now, Pat. 2 grams of sugar per bottle, I can get cranked. But anyway, whatever you tell me to drink in the East, I will. Great people out there. Yar.
Well, we're trying to, that's why people need to use code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy, Jeff. Because the more people that do that, it shows, hey, people are really engaged with Underdog because of this show. And I was talking to a few of the uppity-ups at Underdog that we want to try to get like a live event on the go. Obviously, we're going to President's Cup thanks to Underdog, and we're going to have a house there. We're going to meet up with some fans, maybe do some live shows, and do our content there all week. But the other idea that I had was, maybe we'll get Cam, maybe we'll get Jeff, me and Cust, and geez, maybe you can fly in cross country too, Jeff. That maybe that they throw some higher or lower on the 4 of us playing around. Maybe at Cabot, people can stream it as we go hack around up there.
Now there's an idea, because if there's nothing that Twitter and the X people wouldn't love more, especially the golf, is just dissecting a round of like 8 of us Hacker Canadians. That would be actually amazing content. Where is the president? It's Royal Montreal again?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, but it doesn't matter. But that's a fantastic idea. I mean, that would just be just for the content alone. And just to finish off on Aaron Rai, I'm just looking at his stats here. Dude finished T4 at the Byron Nelson. He gained 1.1 strokes putting. I mean, if he has even a top 10% putting week, I mean, he's probably going to be in the mix. So pretty hard to go against that goal.
This happened to me last week, though, because I said the exact same when I did up my Glover preview. The last 2 times he had gained more than 1 stroke putting in an event, he won the event. His back-to-back wins at Wyndham and St. Jude at the end of last year. He had not gained more than a stroke putting from then till now, till last week. But he gains 8 strokes tee to green, 10 strokes tee to green every single week. Last week he gained 7 strokes putting and lost strokes tee to green.
That's interesting. I haven't been keeping track of Lucas Glover, but that is a pretty big flip in terms of stats. So,
where are you going with your gold pick?
This is my Canadian pick, so I'm going pretty. I don't know, not bland, but I mean pretty straightforward with it. Adam Svensson plus 115 top 40. I like this for a lot of different reasons. It's a Canadian in the Canadian Open, so he's not just checking out in round 4 if he's in T40. He's probably going to grind for us and really try and put in a good effort. That's the narrative side of it. The real side of it is Adam Svensson's ball striking looks extremely good right now. He's gaining off the tee. He's gaining on approach. It just gives you a really safe floor week to week. And I'm talking about bad putters. I mean, Svensson is up there. He's basically like Aaron Rai light right now. I mean, he's not gaining as many strokes ball striking, but he's losing just as many strokes putting. So that's a little bit concerning, but flip the putter last week positive, finished T24. I think realistically, you could probably look at Svensson for a top 20, but again, we're comparing numbers here. He's plus 115 for a top 40. Aaron Rai is plus 180-ish for a top 20. So we're getting 20 places here of extra credit. I think that this is just a really good, solid bet. He's a guy who's really solid player. He's won short course, sets up well. He doesn't hit it far, but he's got those really good irons. I think it's going to be hard for him not to hit the top 40 in this field on this course. He can do it because he's such a crappy putter, but I think that if the putter even just shows up a little bit like it did last week, this one should hit plus 115. It's not the biggest price, but it feels like a pretty good price considering how consistently he's hitting the ball.
Past 12 rounds, based on the model that I built on the research show, which leaned very heavily into 200-yard proximity, fairways, and greens in regulation, overall tee to green, and still factoring in putting at the same time. He rates out 16th in this field, 1 spot behind last week's winner, Jeff Davis Riley.
Yeah, I mean, Svensson has got it going right now. I mean, he's a little bit of a roller coaster player too. He's either seems to be putting the ball really well and scrambling well, or he's just tearing the cover off the ball and just can't sink a putt. But when it comes together, I mean, we've seen his upside on these shorter courses, right? And if this was a longer course, I wouldn't be picking him, but it's a 7,000-yard par 70. He ranks up there in terms of short courses, how he gains strokes. I just think it's a really good fit. Obviously need a little bit of Canadian content here, and going safe for that gold. I think it's just a really solid number that you're getting here. I would have expected this to be closer to plus 100 or even minus 110.
All right. Cam, gold pick from you, sir.
Yeah. First of all, Jeff, love the pick. And I'm going to tell you guys something, Pat. This first round leader market has been my best friend the last few weeks. I went back to back with Xander, just missed one last week. I'm taking Svensson first round leader. This is the type of guy that can come out of the gate hot and you'll get a price on him. And I think he's just one of those guys that's just going to put up a big number early and be lingering in the tournament. Love the pick. You know what, Pat? You've already mentioned him. I'm not going to take Jeff's buddy Fleetwood, but I'm going to take Alex Noren, one of my favorite players on tour for years. Top 10 plus 260 I found on my books when I was shopping. That is a great price. He's plus 250 on a couple, and I found one that offered a plus 260. So I think Alex Noren is hot playing right now. There's a perfect type of course for him. He's straight. He could do everything. Just don't screw it up, Alex. I think you could win the tournament. I'll take you outright. I know it's going to be a trendy pick with all the golfing people this week. Probably next to Fleetwood, he'll be one of the higher picks, but I'm going to take Noren, Pat. I'm not screwing around. Top 10, and you're going to give me plus 260 on a wicked player who matches this course perfectly. Come on, Alex. If a Canadian's not going to win, I want you to win. I'm a big fan of your game. Let's go, Norin. Go Scandinavians.
Svensson is 70-1 to be the first round leader, Cam.
So, Patrick, 20 will get me 1,400. Yar, yar, yar. We're doing it again, Pat. We're going to hit some big ones. I can't wait to see out east. One question. If I fly to Royal Montreal or drive, do I have a place in your house? And
yes.
I will pay rent.
You don't need to pay rent. You don't need to pay rent. I can just, I can
well, I'm going to have
on.
to give you some content then, just not when I'm too drunk, but because I've done that too many times.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to try to get there.
Yeah, we're trying to get Raza to drive up from New York. He's like, I have no idea where Montreal is. I'm like, dude, it's like 4 hours from your house. Like, you can make it.
Not know Montreal, it's closer. It is literally the same distance between Toronto and Ottawa, ladies and gentlemen. Figure it out. It's not that
Ben
hard.
getting lost in Montreal, just trying to find his way around, would just be a great week of content on its own. Just trying to talk to French people.
Montreal's a tough city to drive in, though. I will say that.
I love it.
It's not easy, right, Pat? Like,
no,
I remember when I drove there, I got absolutely tuned. I was driving up snowbanks. Holy jeez.
I love driving in Montreal. Everyone just drives like me. As fast as you can go at all times. It's awesome.
It's so right. No signs, no nothing. Bang.
But unlike, where Montreal is a very European style city, it does have a lot of bike lanes. So if you're not used to bike lanes while you're driving, it can be very difficult because you might just run people over.
That's true. Bikers have too much credit anyway. Every time, hey, you know when a biker cuts in front of you and you hit him and it's his fault, Pat, you're the guy going to be blamed anyway, so screw it. I like your style. Let's go to Montreal, baby.
The Pat Mayo Experience is sponsored by BetterHelp. Sometimes you need to get something off your chest. Lord knows I do. And one of the biggest things that can cause is big stressors in our life. Whether they're big or they're small, bottling it all up can really start to affect us very negatively. And therapy is a safe space to get things off your chest and figure out how to work through whatever's weighing you down. And it's helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries and really start to affect your life in a positive way. And it might even be some stuff that you're not even really thinking about that you can unlock and really start to improve your life for the better. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge if you're not liking it. So, get it off your chest with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/PatMayo today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/PatMayo. Silver picks for the Canadian Open. Cam, you're hot right now. Let's stick with you.
Oh, thank you. I wouldn't say I'm hot. You haven't seen the picks totally, Pat, but I don't want to do the same thing as you. I have Rye top 20 plus 180, so maybe I should play another guy, but I really like Aaron Rye for a top 20. I'm sorry. I don't want to steal your picks. I have them written down. I looked at Rye, Mitchell, Hadwin was another Canadian that I kind of like. Those are the top 20 guys that I'm looking at, and I like Rye the best at plus 180. The price is right. Pat, I had him in the top 30 market. He just fell outside last week at a great number. I was like, oh, one more birdie, he would have got inside of that. And that wasn't his best tournament. I think he's really perfect for this course, as we mentioned, and he's going to break through. I'm taking him outright. So if you're going to give me almost 2-1 on a guy I think that can win the tournament, I'm there. Ryan Gingers, we talk about it. I'm with you. I love your picks this week, Patrick. Jeff, I love your pick too with Svensson. I think it's a very underrated pick. I think he could actually be top Canadian too. Him or Hadwin, but I'm going to go with Ryan Ginger, plus 180, top 20, almost 2-1.
Are you going to make it a trifecta of Aaron Rye wagers? Because, maybe your bet, Jeff, should be Aaron Rye to miss the cut because everyone is on Aaron Rye.
No, we'll be fine. We'll be fine, Pat. We're going to be fine this week. Don't worry about it.
You can just be the dick who's just, going against every pick on the show. No, Aaron Rye makes a ton of sense. I've bet Aaron Rye before. I haven't really had that much interest in him this year. But I think that as a placing bet, he makes just way more sense than necessarily outright bets. I think he's won one event, one professional event, between the Euro Tour and PGA. So doesn't win enough, but certainly the game is there. So I like where you guys' head is at just with the taking him for a placement. That's the way I would play him this week. I'm going a little more aggressive. I'm staying with the top 20 market. And we kind of touched on this theme already, but I think that the Canadian Open is a pretty comfortable event for some of these international players, specifically like the Brits. They come up here, it's a little bit more like home. It's a little bit more relaxed atmosphere. They're out of the States and they all kind of travel together. And I think for a guy like Matt Wallace, it's going to be good. I'm taking Matt Wallace plus 320 for a top 20. And you think like, well, what the hell has Matt Wallace been up to? But he's had it going for a few events now. Like even at the PGA Championship, he was hovering in the top 20, even pushing for a top 10 for a bit. Kind of fell off on the weekend. Played really good a couple events ago. I think it was at the AT&T Byron Nelson. This is going to be a big week for him too, because like he's not playing next week. So I just checking out his social medias too. He seems like a very confident guy right now. Likes where his game is at. He's got a nice, smooth swing. I think he sets up well for these shorter courses. I kind of just like Matt Wallace too. I mean, he's got a lot of self-belief. He may not be like the most likable guy on tour, but I think right now his game is more confident than people realize. He's been trending pretty well. And I think that the number here, when you're looking at this field, I mean, I think if Matt Wallace's putter shows up, like just considering the field, the short course, he can hit this top 20. So plus 320 for me, going a little bit bigger here. But this is the kind of player that I think you should be targeting in this kind of market at these bigger numbers. He's got the upside. He's probably either going to finish like T50 or like T12. So I think Matt Wallace at plus 320, worth the bet this week.
He is one of the kings of the weak field. You put him in a strong field, absolute dog shit. You put him in one of these weaker fields, he actually shows up from time to time. I like it.
Matt Wallace is good. He's on my list again, Pat. Like, I don't know. Like, we haven't even talked to each other before the show.
I'm going to bet him outright, too.
I agree with you. I agree. Matt Wallace is a world-class player. This guy was there for a while. He's really hard on himself. Remember? He's like, why can't I get this done? Like, I start to think the final round, I got to think that I got to show up early and I can't have these bad rounds. But he's one of those guys that he's going to break through. He was great on the Euro Tour. He's just a really fiery guy. And I love his attitude. You know what I mean? The guy, hey, he gets angry. Life's hard sometimes, and he likes to blow up. There's a lot of powder kegs on the tour, right? John Rahm and all these other guys. But he's Matt Wallace, right? So I'm a big Matt Wallace fan. I think he has a fire burning inside. And I think he looks at this field and says, really? You know what I mean? I could be there. I would not be shocked if Matt Wallace was in contention, let alone finished in a top 20, 30 bet this week. So I love the pick.
So there are a few absolute goobers at the bottom of this board who rated out really well for me for this style of course.
Can I guess, Pat?
You can go ahead. Go for it.
Here's a couple losers that I love. Nasty Nate Lashley?
He's up there. He's not one of the three, though.
How about my friend, Boops, R. Moore, Ryan Moore? No?
Was not one of them for me.
Mark Messier? Mac Mesner?
Mac Mesner? No, but I do like him this week, and he's way down the list. The three I had. I have Kelly Craft, Smelly Kelly.
Oh, my
dear God.
Craft dinner? Holy geez, sponsors exemption.
Ben Martin.
Medical? Oh, I have Ben Martin.
And the guy that I am betting top 30 at plus 275, a winner on the PGA Tour already this season, albeit at an alt field event. Bryce Garnett has been actually good this season. So I'm betting Bryce Garnett top 30. In the crickets.
Another guy who's just like the king of the weak field events.
Tumbleweed crickets? No, the funny thing is, like, know what it is, Pat? It's not even Bryce Garnett's fault. It's like Mike Smith. You're like, they're like, it's just the name that you're like, yeah, Garnett's not even doing that bad, but there's like so many damn guys who play golf now. It's like, yeah, Bryce Garnett. Like, he's actually like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of guys. This is a perfect course. Anybody, in my opinion, don't you guys agree with a course just over 7,000 yards? It brings a lot of people into play. Like, you bob and gouge it, that's fine, right? But you still have to have a good putter. And these other guys who just hit it straight nowhere can plod along and do their thing. That's what I like these type of tournaments. If I was in charge, there would be less 7,700-yard courses and more 7,000-yard courses with tree lines and rough. Maybe I'm an old guy, but that's the way I like it. I like it with guys like Matt Wallace can win a tournament, Pat. I'm so sick and tired of, I hit it 3 fairways over. Everything's going to be great. You have to penalize guys. And I remember Jim Furyk said this a long time ago. He loves Hamilton Golf and Country Club. I was really hoping that, the rough would be high and they make this course really, really hard. But I don't think it's going to be as hard as past tournaments have played. But you could trick up this course, and they got a lot of trees and stuff. So if you spray it around, you can get burned. I really wish they grew the rough higher, though.
Well, to look at
Yeah,
Bryce, to look at Bryce Garnett for just 1 second, Jeff, that he hits a ton of fairways. That's what I've really put a lot of emphasis on. He just gained 6 strokes on approach at the PGA Championship. He came T35 at the PGA Championship. He got himself into one of those elevated events at Heritage, another shorter course. The week after the Masters, he ends up coming T18 in that event. So, and he won in Puerto Rico earlier this year. Like, the approach play has been really good. The around the green is spectacular. He doesn't gain a lot off the tee, but he actually hits a ton of fairways. So in this field, that's going to work out really well for him. It's just, is he going to bring his putter? And we've seen him have spike upside rounds with his putter, even if he just kind of treads around water most of the time. But the thing that stuck out to me is over the past 24 rounds is his proximity from 200 yards plus, the greens in regulation, and how he performs on longer par threes. And that's what's going to get you this week. Basically, every hard hole at this course, Jeff, is a par 3.
Yeah, that's true. And looking at the layout, I mean, I was about to agree with Cam. I wish they had made this course a little bit harder. And that's the one thing. Like Hamilton, I don't really like this course. I know we already talked about the rotation, but I don't think this is going to play tough at all. But just to hit on the Garnett thing, first of all, I legitimately I thought I went through like 80-90% of the field yesterday. I did not know Bryce Garnett was even in this event. Until right now, but he makes a lot of sense. I mean, I did know that he's been playing pretty well. He was a top 20 at the RBC Heritage, which is another tight little course. If his putter shows up, it's just probably just going to carry him to like a T28 in this field anyways, the way he's playing. So makes sense. But yeah, we'll get to this maybe when we talk about outrights a bit, but I do fear that somebody named, Rory McIlroy may just turn this event into a laugher again. But for a top 30 for Garnett, I mean, certainly these plotters can get around this course. He's got more putting upside than almost anyone in this event too. So,
well, let's hear your bronze pick then. Is it going to be Rory to win at even money or whatever it is?
No, I have something way crazier than that.
So, his life, Jeff, like he's got a lot of things going on here. So, like, I got to be honest with you. Like, if he wins at that price, so be it. But
yeah,
no thanks.
I'm not betting Rory McIlroy. I'm just saying, like, it does worry me a little bit that this course is going to play too easy. But I got something way crazier for my bronze pick. Don't worry. We're on the sort of wheel of losers, talking about we're going to the depths of the field here. For top 20 this week, you can get David Lipsky a plus 1,200, and to me that is just too big a number to ignore.
I saw it. I saw it
fat
too.
Lips. Yeah. I like Lipsky.
I mean, it's so big in this field. Like, let's just talk it through. Like, it's a 7,000 yard par 70 for David Lipsky, who admittedly hits it like 280 off the tee, but when he's hitting it, he hits a ton of fairways, and his long irons are really, really good. And guess what? He gained 10 strokes on approach last week. And I'm not suggesting that he goes back and gains another 10 strokes on approach. He's also been gaining some strokes around the greens. If this guy's putter shows up, like he has shown us in these kind of fields, in these courses, like he's well capable of a top 10. So we've got potentially like one of the worst fields of the year. We've got a really short course that a guy like Lipsky, whose irons right now just look like fire, could potentially just tear apart. And, you just look at his results: 4th Sony, 6th Mexico, 12th at the Memorial last year. And by the way, this exact time last year, he hit 2 top 20s in a row and had the lead going into the Memorial last year into the final round. I know, because I bet him at 500 to 1 last year, and he didn't do anything because he fell to T12, but still, it's kind of interesting. He's won at Kranz over in Switzerland, a short par 70 that's got some elevations, a little bit of elevation on this course. I don't know. It just stuck out as way too big a number. So I'm playing it. David Lipsky plus 1,200 top 20. I had some more conservative bets, but I feel like you've got to give Lipsky a chance here. If there's any continuation with his irons, he's going to at least compete for a top 20, and this plus 1,200 number is going to look real good on Sunday.
Good pick with Lips. I was looking at him too. I don't want to steal your guys' picks, Pat, but under the radar, David Lipsky, this is a nice course for him. He could really, that's the beautiful thing about this tournament. We're going to get guys at crazy numbers that could be there. So I love the pick. I don't want to steal it, but I got to put this guy in for like a top 30. What is he? I bet he's plus money top 30 and 40 too, if you want a little bit of insurance.
Oh yeah, no, he is
along those lines.
He
like
is
all day, all night.
Yeah, top 40. He's plus 240.
Oh my God, that is fantastic.
The thing with Lipsky is too, I would rather bet him top 20. That's why I brought up top 20, because he's either really on or he's just going to miss the cut. And if he misses the cut, whatever, because we've got plus 1,200, it's a small investment. But like if he's on, he's probably going to challenge for a top 10, top 20. So I would rather go bigger or go home with Lipsky, but certainly you could play him a little more conservative too, because the numbers are big across the board. Yeah.
I, for my bronze pick, Cam, am going to go to near the top of the board. I like this guy this week. I'm thinking about betting him outright, but I think the top 20 market at more than even money at plus 125 is where I'm going to go with Shane Lowry. This is a great course for Shane Lowry.
Pat, I don't understand how we come to this. Like my outrights right now are Noren, Lowry, Rye. Like we're like reading each other's mail. This could be a really good thing or a really bad thing. Shane Lowry could eat this course up. He bombs it. He hits it straight. If his putting is half decent, like he doesn't even have to be great. He could like I would rather have Lowry at his number and Noren than Rory at that number. I don't care how big Rory hits it. He still has to deal with his wedge. He still has to hit putts. He's going through a lot of issues with the divorce and all the other crap that he's got going on in his life. I'd rather have his buddy Shane Lowry, the Irish Bear. I'm a friend of the Irish Bear. Jeff's got a bear in his background. It might be a sign. You know, they call me the bear in Mexico. Oso. I'm like, what the fuck is oso? It means bear, you idiot. When I won the cannonball competition when I was 310 pounds, Pat, gotta love bears. And I love Irish bears, Guinness and Jameson. Great pick.
Your bronze pick, Cam.
Oh, Patrick. This is a guy that has been a friend of mine. He's been an enemy. We've gone to wars together. We've got drunk together. We fought each other in a parking lot in Buffalo. Nasty Nate Lashley, top 40, plus 150. I just looked at some correlated models, Pat. That's not my thing. It's usually just writing, as you know, with pens, crayons, or whatever the hell I got around the house. But the Detroit Golf Club is a correlated kind of event. Lashley's won there. You know what, Jeff? He's kind of like your guy. He's an all or nothing guy. Like I've taken Lashley at 500 to 1. I'm like, whoa, he's on page 1 of the leaderboard, honey. This could be the week we finally win like 20 grand, but doesn't really get there. Or he could just miss the cut. But on a short course like this, plus 150, Pat, Nasty Nate. He's going to be in my golf bag this week. I think he's going to do well. And you're giving me plus 150 for a top 40 because I know this guy can gag if he's in the mix, and I don't want him to get too far down. But Lashley makes the card like your Bryce Garnett and Lips.
When Lashley gagged away Pebble Beach, Jeff, it was probably one of the more disappointing losses I've ever had in outright golf betting.
Me too.
What year was that? I don't even remember that. When did
won.
He gag away Pebble?
Hoagie won. He ended up making a triple, a triple or a quad on this par 3 on the back 9, and it almost got. Unfortunately, he ended up cashing the each way because he had dropped himself out of the top 5 afterwards. Because I had Spieth and Lashley that week, and Hoagie made that putt on 17. I was like, it's just not going to be my year if this is happening. And now Hoagie can't do anything whenever I bet him.
Yeah, Hoagie's a whole other conversation. But I mean, look. Lashley fits perfectly in with like this Garnett Lipsky kind of archetype, right? Where these guys can come, they're confident because it's a weaker field. They know they don't have like a huge disadvantage off the tee. And look, I mean, his approach game may have been shit lately, but like he's gaining strokes around the green and putting. And like on a course like this, that may be more important anyways. So certainly like the top 40 is within reach. He had 3 top 40s in a row before this string of missed cuts, but you don't really worry about missed cuts with guys like this. You get them in a weaker field as long as they're not just a complete disaster, which I don't think Lashley is right now. I like it. He's actually shown more upside than I think people give him credit for. Obviously, he's won before. So, but yeah, makes a lot of sense on this course. You definitely can't go against that.
Well, any extras to throw out? Can
I ask you guys about Kuchar?
Pass.
Pass?
Yeah.
It's a short course, Pat. He can get it around for an old guy. No? You don't like Coochie?
When was the last time when was the last time he did anything? I guess
I don't know.
He was T17 last week based off he gained 7 strokes putting.
You got no love for Ryan Moore? This seems like a track that he can do well on.
It does seem like a track he could do well on. I just feel like he had his little. You see this with some of the aging players that used to be good, that they can recapture their skill sets of what they used to do really well for a month, 3 weeks, whatever it might be. And Moore did that about 2 months ago. Like he went back into the bag and all of a sudden he was one of the best approach players on tour. The wedges couldn't miss. And that has seemingly gone away from him again. So I have no idea when he's going to recapture it.
What do you think about Hadwin?
I like him enough.
I'm just
I
throwing
may
names
bet
out there.
Hadwin. I may bet Hadwin. Like, if there's a Canadian that I'll bet outright, it's probably going to be Hadwin.
too.
We've seen him compete like for the wins multiple times over the last year or so. So I kind of like that call. Like, I think he'd be more of an outright play for me. Here's a name. I almost made him my bronze pick. So what about Eric Cole?
Oh,
I mean,
what happened to this
like
guy?
he's gained
That
strokes
guy's
off the
broke.
tee.
Oh, Geoff, the Eric Cole, this guy could have made me rich. I have to bet him
Right.
almost every week because remember the time where was it Captain Kirk won where he almost hit the car and was that Valspar, Pat? No, Honda Classic, right? 'Cause
Honda,
they had,
yeah.
yeah, they had a,
Right, yeah,
yeah, they had a
Honda Classic,
Honda in the water, and I'm like, hey, Eric Cole, like it's just like Eric Cole has come close to like netting me financial gains, and it's kind of like Hoagie Sandwich. He finished 17th last week. I'm like, when are you going to win? But you know what, Geoff? This course and Eric Cole makes too much sense. Like too much sense.
I know he's missed the cut, a couple cuts in a row, but he's gained strokes off the tee in 2 straight starts. It's really just been shitty putting that's held him back. But the putter can flip for him at any time. So he's great on short tracks. He's second in strokes gained total, under 7,200 yard courses. I don't know. If you're going to bet Eric Cole, like if you're betting Eric Cole like 20, 40 to 1, you got to kind of like him in this field a little bit. I didn't make him one of my picks because it's kind of a tough sell, but I did bet him outright. I just felt like 80 to 1 on this course. The putter shows up, he gets confident. Look, like 2 months ago or 3 months ago, I mean, like everyone would have jumped on this price, right? It hasn't been that long. I don't know. I like to try and buy low on these players when they've got inflated and everyone's off them, but it could just be a lot of nothing. We'll see.
I see. I like your idea of trying to buy low on players, but I feel like Eric Cole may have peaked and he played the best he's ever going to play. Like there was a reason that he was a mini tour grinder for years and years and years. He went through a 2-year stretch where he was like the best he was ever going to play. And now it's going back the other way. Fortunately, he made all of his money that he'll ever need to make, and he'll have a pretty nice life after this. But I mean, I guess you can get him up to 110 to 1 on the outright market now. That has gone up. But I would just look at someone like Tom Kim and think like, hey, this actually plays really into his skill set a lot. Yeah, his number isn't quite as big, obviously, but we just know that he's a much better player, that would be the type of player that I'd be trying to buy low on. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but that would be sort of my lean.
Pat, Tom Kim's plus 145 for a top 20. You can get a nice number for a top 10. I think that makes sense. One more. I don't want to throw out the whole field because I love everybody as usual. Pat, I'm like a buffet when it comes to golf. Ashke Batea, what's your take there?
I bet him to win. I have 3 bets on players to win, and Akshay is one of them at 55 to 1.
Unbelievable. I can't believe I like that's Rye, Batea, Noren. Yeah, love him. I think this is going to be. You look at the fields. You think he's afraid of anybody in this field but Rory, and maybe Shane Lowry, a couple others at the top. Fleetwood still hasn't won, so I know a lot of people are going to be betting Fleetwood. Like I might take him for a top 10, Pat, but I just till he wins. I'd rather have Batea in that situation, and he has won before, despite almost blowing that big lead. We were both on him that week, so he's actually a friend of the program. Love the pick.
So my random one that I'm going to throw out is Matt Anderson, 33 to 1 to be the top Canadian in this field. Now you're probably saying, who is Matthew Anderson? Well, he is the current. He's currently leading in the Fortinet Cup, which is the PGA America's money list right now. They played 6 events, or he's played in 6 events so far. He has a win. He has 3 top 3 finishes, along with his win. Came T3 last week on that tour. Like he's I don't know what to make of him, whether that this is the peak of his career or he's a Tony Finau, Keith Mitchell, Joel Damon, the guys that come through these tours. We'll see him on Corn Ferry next year. Then we'll see him on the PGA Tour 2 years from now. But he just seems to have it going at the moment. And I'm not super impressed about any of the Canadians really coming in. I know they have so many wins, but just like over the past few weeks, Pendrith broke my heart so badly at the PGA Championship. I'm still kind of mad at him. That Connors is playing the best, but this is nowhere near the best Connors has been playing. I do think it's funny that we mentioned all these Canadians so far, but I'm going to bet that Matt Anderson, 33 to 1 top Canadian in this field. But Cam, no one has mentioned Nick Taylor this week.
So it feels disrespectful. I'm not going to bet him, but you know what I mean? You're getting a crazy number on a guy that will still probably play well this week. Will he win? I don't think so. Top 20. likely. Like it's it's one of those situations. Taylor can get it around. I'm just like, you know what it is, Pat? I just like Hadwin this week. And he played well before. I think he finished 6th at the Canadian Open before. And what are his odds? But you know what, Nick Taylor, it's total disrespect. You're right. Like, I haven't not heard anybody talk about defending champion Nick Taylor. Like, this guy, first Canadian win since our buddy Fletch way back when. So I don't think he can do it again. If I was going to pick a Canadian to win, I would take Hadwin, but the disrespect on his number is real.
I think if I was going to bet a Canadian to win, Jeff, it would be Nick Taylor because he's the Canadian who wins the most.
Right. That is absolutely true. I mean, he's definitely been the most successful Canadian just in terms of wins. He's kind of like the Kevin Kisner of Canada. He just gets it done when he's at the right courses, or the old Kevin Kisner, not like today Kevin Kisner. But I'm kind of with Cam this week. Like, the number is disrespectful, but I would probably lean Hadwin. I think that you just look over last 6 to 12 months, and Hadwin has been really close on multiple occasions. So he's actually done pretty well at this event too. Like, he hasn't really been the guy who's like choked and like missed a ton of cuts. He's gotten himself really close a couple times. I think he's just due for win number 2 soon. So I would definitely lean Hadwin this week. But again, yeah, if you're looking at it strictly from an odds perspective and like how many times these guys have actually got it done, the number on Nick Taylor is absolutely, I think disrespectful is probably the right word. So definitely a case just by taking him blindly at where he is, which is like double, I guess, Hadwin. Even though he's not been playing well, we've seen Taylor, like that putter can show up at any moment for him. So yeah, it's kind of pick your poison. Do you want the guy with better recent form at a shorter number, or just take a shot with a guy whose number has been inflated just off a few poor starts?
Outright bets for the Canadian Open. I only have 3 in so far, and I'll have all of the finalization on tomorrow's show with Tambo and in the newsletter. Sub to the newsletter for free. Cam, you're a big fan of the newsletter, right?
Yes, I do read the newsletter. It's one thing, Pat, I'm not very good with certain things, but every time I get that email from you, I love it. I love the way you guys break it down. I like the cheat sheets. It also includes other tournaments around the world, like where the Euros are playing, or if Liv has an event. I like to look at the picks, and you guys have the one and done with Custin Feinberg. It's a great read. You definitely have to do it, Pat. So yeah, it's one email I like. I usually get bills, or we're fixing the parking garage, or I'm having oh yeah, by the way, Pat, well, we haven't talked. Did I tell you about the guy who stole my shit off my porch that we're trying to track down? Did I talk about that one yet? I think I might have on the last show.
Yeah, you
anyway,
did.
We're going to get closer. We might have had a sighting at the Food Basics. It was a guy very similar, but I saw the bald spot, but he wasn't wearing the same coat. I didn't think he had enough money to have a second coat, but if I see him in that gray and black coat again, me and the neighbors say, let's rock. Let's just say,
what did he steal from you?
A foot massager, diabetic sugar, a gift for my dad, and what else did I have in there? Motrin. It was basically an Amazon delivery. Yeah, and some
that was the full meal deal. That was like your weekly supplies there.
The guy stole like a $30 bag of diabetic sugar. It's like the size of a pillow, and now I got to go to Healthy Planet and spend like $50 on their brand. It was like anyway. What kind of asshole steals sugar? You got to be a desperate person. And that foot massager was a gift for my father. I'm pissed. Bottom line is this. I don't even care if it was a fucking literally like a McDonald's toy. You don't steal things off people's porches. That's personal. You're one step from going into my house and getting a baseball bat. So anybody out there, if you're stealing things off people's porches, you're a shithead. But Pat, we're going to get this guy. I know he's lingering around the neighborhood. We had a sighting, but it couldn't be confirmed.
The last 3 times, Jeff, that Cam Young has played in a non-signature event, he has come
out of here.
2nd, 4th, and 8th.
I can't bet this guy. What do you think, Jeff?
So Cam Young, okay, we're talking outrights now, and I admittedly, like I almost made him like a top 10, one of my picks, but I did bet him early in the week. It was 40-1. Actually, wait, was it like I could be just getting that number wrong? It was. I'm sorry, it was 30-1, and it was plus 3,000, and the number just seemed too big. And he has moved down from that, but I just kind of bet him just because the number just seemed too big. He opened too big. And you're right. Like, I was looking at his results. He's come to a lot of these weaker field events, and he's just sort of gained some confidence. Like, he was 6th at the John Deere last year. There's a couple other instances of that. obviously with Cam Young, like you probably want to have some kind of insurance, like an each way or something. But at some point, this guy's probably going to grab a win. He can't go winless on the PGA Tour, I don't think, his entire career. So I do have a piece of that. Another guy I grabbed a piece of, similar fashion. We mentioned him, Tom Kim, opened to plus 4,000. I just grabbed a small piece because the number just seemed too big. And both of those, at the very least, I can feed my family with some closing line value this week. So, yeah, couple names that just stick out from a talent perspective that I think open too big. But their numbers have gone down a bit.
Yeah, so Rye 55, Bhatia 55, and Bryce Garnett 160 to 1 with 5 placements, Cam. Who do you have outright? Noren, Rye, and Lowry?
I have Lowry, Noren, Rye, Lashley at 150. I'm going to take a shot with Lashley too.
Yeah.
And I know what I'm gonna add Wallace on my outrights too.
Yeah, and I should mention, like I took Wallace, I took Lipsky outright too with an each way. He was like 400 to 1 with a top 8 each way, and I took Wallace at 75 to 1 with a top 8 each way as well. So
I'm circling the drains on Cam Young and Shane Lowry because I bet those guys and they lose all the time. So I feel like I owe it to them just to show my support for those guys when they never win and I can lose money on them. We'll see if I
agree. Pat, can you do that? Remember, I wanted that Canadian parlay. So what was the four Canadians that we have? I wanted to take Connors, Hadwin, Pendrith, Taylor, Hughes, Svensson, and Silverman all to make the cut. That'd probably be like crazy number. But what's Connors, Hadwin, and aren't they missing Nick Taylor on this parlay? Because I remember I bet it on one of my sites. Was it plus 287 for those 4 Canadians to make the cut?
Yeah, plus 279 for Hughes, Connors, Pendrith, and Hadwin. And yeah, they've only offered 19 players into the make-miss cut market on 365 this week. And Nick Taylor is not one of those guys somehow.
It's insane. The guy's the defending champion. Get your shit together. Every person should be listed so I can put my crazy parlay together. That's what we do, Pat. Right?
Yeah, you almost get 3 to 1 on this one.
You know what? I'm going to do it too. That's not part of the mineral package or whatever. You know me, Pat. I got so many damn picks, like I can't narrow it down to 3. But yeah, I'll do the 4-man Canadian parlay at almost 3 to 1, all to make the cut.
All right, that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. We'll be back on Wednesday with Tambo breaking down the final bets, the weather, and everything you need to know about DraftKings in terms of lineups, construction, pricing, sleepers, building some lineups out, and we'll be doing our Underdog Pick'em as well. So code Mayo at Underdog right now to get you a deposit bonus of up to $250. Geoff, what do you got on the go, and where can people find it?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Twitter at the Fantasy Grind. Doing a lot of work for Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life. We got the Betting Life newsletter. Subscribe to that. Got the golf betting outrights, which are released Wednesday or Tuesday night or Wednesday morning in the newsletter. So a lot of stuff coming up for football too. It's a great site. Just check it out, fantasylife.com. A lot of great tools coming for football season. So definitely, check it out and give me a follow on Twitter. I'll tweet it all out eventually.
Cam?
I got a lot of things going on, Pat. I'm on every night with Morency on Sports Grid, Red Heat and Rage, late night. We're on from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning. I do some golf hits during the week and other stuff. And let me tell you, hockey's been good, Pat, but our new sport that we really crush and we're on a hot streak, WNBA. We're rolling in the WNBA right now. So if you're a degenerate gambler and you're up late and you don't have a wife, a kid like Pat, and basically nothing to do but gamble, we're your guys. Check it out.
Well, I was seeing Cardano, who is obviously over at Sports Grid, and my former roommate, Mike Cardano. He was going on that Sports Grid is the #1 show on Fast Channel. So congratulations.
Thank you. I don't know where that is, but I'll accept any positive I can get. I'll give it the old Barry Horowitz, Pat. Love you, brother. Geoff, it's a pleasure meeting you, buddy. Great stuff, and hope we can do this again.
Absolutely, Cam. Very, very back at you, pal. I tell you, I used to watch Cam way back in the day when you and Morency were on like The Score. So this is an actual honor for me. I used to watch the old betting shows. My whole day I used to be one of those degenerates without kids. Now I have kids, but it used to be for me, play a bunch of online poker, sit back in the afternoon and watch that show. So yeah, this is like a milestone for me in my sports betting media career.
thanks, Jeff. You're gonna make me cry and blush. That was beautiful, beautiful stuff. Hey, Pat, I wish it was those days. I wish we were making that money like the old days, buddy. But we keep grinding.
You do. At the PME for me on Twitter. Sub to the newsletter. That's completely free. That's down in the description. And again, code Mayo, Underdog Fantasy, the #1 way you can support this show. Deposit match for first timers of up to $250. So please go do that. Smash like, sub to the audio podcast, rate and review, all that fun stuff on the way out. And I will see you next time.
Mayo experience. Experience.